Thank you. All right, it's Wednesday, November 9th, and we're on our budget hearing. I think this is all we're gonna get tonight. I don't know, Mr. Thompson, but I heard from the other ones.
I know Billy's not gonna be here.
Yeah, Billy had to work, and Mary Claire had something come out.
Katie,
Katie also. Yeah. All right, so anyhow, so real quick, I just want to go through a couple things with you. That small sheet that you have is the reserves. I just want to go through those reserves for you and some of the adjustments that we made. And I can explain why. So our beginning balance, if you look on the reserves, so you have the employee benefits, balance is 504,000. I took 4,000 for that, figuring I wanted to keep $500,000 in there. That 4,000, remember that $4,700 that we moved from DPW? That's gonna cover that. The snow and ice, I figured, I took 100,000 from the snow and ice reserves for the 100,000, that leaves us with 112,000 of extra reserves money to be able to do that. So that's where I came up with 100,000 to cover that salt. And then the 50,000, I took off the reserves and insurance. My goal would be to keep half of what a little bit, about half of what the workers' comp bill is, because since our last budget meeting and now I got another workers' comp bill, and that was, so I needed the budget that higher, so I needed a $50,000 add. So now I'll go to the colored version and I'll show you that. So, but real quick, so these are the rest of the reserves, just so you have that, you can document what they are. So these are what all of our reserves are, reserve balances are in our, our capital budget. We have 600,000, all the tax accounting, in case taxes are short, we need to borrow from that. Or so that covers all of our reserves across. So at least you have that documentation, so you have a zero account, because I don't know that we ever really have gone over them too much, and they pretty much stay the same. So on the sheet, remember this is both sides of the sheet. You got to flip it. On page 2, which is the back side of it.
But none of this reflects any change.
Yeah, those reserves are being adjusted. So when we make a motion to modify this budget, we're going to make the motion to reduce the reserves by X amount. Okay. To increase this budget line. So it does matter. Okay. And it's all listed on that document. So we can put this as attached document, which I labeled it as reserves as of 11/9/22. You know what I mean? But obviously the deductions aren't. At least to do that. So on page 2, if you go to line 55, unclassified revenue. So in the past, in previous budgets in 2022, they have pulled from reserves like 258,000. You can see where they did that before. I didn't want to do that this year, but I didn't want to I can't have a balanced budget, and I didn't want to increase the tax base anymore. So we could pull more from the reserves, from the general fund reserves, and not have a tax increase. So I'll offer that as an option to everybody here, as long as we're having that discussion. So if you wanted to not have that, you can pull from the reserves and not have that. But I don't think I think it's a modest tax increase, so I don't think it's unreasonable. I think it's always good to have somewhat of a modest one. So this is the reserves.
I would agree on that only because what we got coming in the future with what we have leaving, so I better
Right.
make sure we got something in there rather than pull it.
Correct.
Yeah, I
Right. And then, it's always better to have this kind of scale going instead of this. So just be realistic.
In reality, you shouldn't even need a question, but.
Right, but we know our health insurance went up 6.5%, we have all that, so we trying to cover that. So this is where the revenue line is coming in, so that 154,000 that we just talked on those reserves we're pulling out. This is where it shows on our budget, the revenue in, because it's a negative, so that's the unclassified revenue. You can see, like I said in the past, they used 258,000 for that, so we're plugging that reserve. That's where the revenue comes in at. So just so you identify that, we'll leave that as red. And then we'll have to go back to, we'll just go back to the whole budget when we're all done. But then,
How much is left in the general fund after all of this?
in the reserve,
Yeah.
it's right here. All these are the reserves. So the general fund reserve is 2.347, and that hasn't changed.
Okay, that's,
Okay,
yeah.
so these are all your reserves. Yeah. This would be after this at the end balance with what all the reserves would be after we made these adjustments, if you approve.
and balance.
See it? That makes sense?
Yep.
So then page. let's see here. Well, the adjustments we made were on, I think it's back because it was on DPW. It's on page 8, which is one of the back pages.
Page 16.
So that's where I put that $4,000 for that, for the meal offset. See it in the red?
Yep.
So that, and then down at the bottom is the 175,000 increase for salt, and it shows where the reserves are on the right-hand side.
Yep.
That makes sense, those are the
Mhm.
modifications there. Then the only other modifications that we had made. Back on page 11. So this, well, this is where it increased the workers' comp, remember, because I got a recent worker comp bill that
Mhm.
covered, so this will cover that workers' comp. Because we had an incident. I guess I could say it, a shooting incident, remember of that, so that our comp went up, jumped, so that increases there, that's where that increase is showing, so that's changed. Okay. So the red is all the changes, and then last page for changes should be on page 15. So page 15. Remember, he wanted to move 20,000 from line 6, from the 54,500. He wanted to move 20,000 down to the 54,800, which is in the red. But remember, he did budget, which is there, remember, he asked for that. So that's the adjustment. Obviously, the other numbers that changed would be the bottom line numbers, but the balance budget, it budget balances at the bottom.
And the 2,000 under sanitary sewer. That must be a change, right? 672 on page 15 as well.
Yeah, that's the, remember, we took 20,000, remember, he had 22,000, if you look to the right of
Oh,
that.
okay.
And then we took that 20,000 and he moved it
I
down,
moved it there.
because he left it blank, remember, so he just made that
Okay.
change. That was what we had voted on. So those are all the voted on changes, so to speak, we added the comp, the $50,000 in comp, we moved the 4,000 in.
Yep.
From the other source, which I still say it's in that payroll, or whatever. And then that adjusts it, so let's just start back at the beginning again, and
So the changes on those in red on 15, those are just noting what we changed last time.
yeah, so these are. All the changes that the comment, unless they make something else tonight, or we do something more after tonight. That's all the changes that were made, so that it would be easy to clarify. That would be the changes that are made, and then that would be. So that new one, we would not name it the mayor budget, we made that, we just move that over to the council budget, so I'll have to go back and add my old lines and just move it, but it was just easier for now, does that make sense?
Yep.
So there was, I just figured we'd start at the beginning, unless somebody has some more questions on what we did about, we'll just kind of go through all these line by line of items we didn't talk about yet, which was common council line. So again, not a lot of changes there, kind of left it all the same to what it was, and maintained the same what it is, not a big fluctuations there. The mayor's budget, remember, there's some changes there, some downgrading there that went on because we moved Bob Ray out of that office into the code office, so that's where those changes are there. The crow control was never really hit, nobody ever hit that, and I know I'm probably gonna regret that, jinx the crows to come back. But we'll figure that one out.
I saw over 100 flying north the other night. They're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Looking at crow season just outside the city.
Yeah, like,
Auburn.
Auburn.
Yeah,
So, and then, so in the finance department, these are all the revenue budgets, so we talked about a lot of these, and then some of these pilots and stuff, like they had Cubic Press, Clock Tower, you know, they didn't exist, Cubic Press has been gone a long time, so that's where some of this difficulty became part of that. We moved the permits and parking share all to that other line. Page 2, we talked about the revenue change that we made, but those are all, everything else maintained the same. We added 154,000, so we could balance the budget. Assessment, that fee should stay the same. I increased it actually because they requested an increase for, some health insurance stuff, so I'm gonna have a resolution for that. Although I guess we approved it on the budget. We just did it, so that's okay. City clerk, I don't think there was a lot of changes there.
Real quick, what HSBC lot please.
Not HP,
HSBC.
HSBC, that's the bank. Used to be over, they pay they lease that lot from us and behind there, next to, behind the
I
bank.
realize that when I'm saying.
Yeah, that land is where they're driving.
Yeah.
So that's ours, so they have an ongoing lease. Is that it? Any other questions?
No.
I'm not trying to rush anybody, whatever, stopping whatever you want. Assessment, city clerk, we did that, law department, when AJ was hired, figured he's got some catching up to do. We kept his salary down when we hired him, so I think we probably should look at doing, moving that forward
Absolutely.
at the beginning, so it's within that budget line, so I'll work with the personnel committee and just discuss what that is, but that will be in that increase, but just full disclosure. Going to ground, we did that, right? I think, according to the minutes, I read that Andy said us there were missing. We'll just be going through, we're missing something in building grounds. I'll get to it when we get there. The insurance.
CPW garage.
Yeah, DP company garage is missing, but we'll get to that. We have insurances, the associations and dues, judgment and claims, we try not to do anything there, we try to, traffic department. So we'll be talking about this new parking thing that's on our agenda coming this meeting. Can you get that memo? I think I sent you an email Andy, about that. You get that?
Yeah, I read that as being a discussion item.
The parking will be a resolution the PD is gonna vote for, so we'll have to add that. to you. And they're working on that. And there was another one too, I think I sent you. So that's an increase, so that's gonna be a cost, so that's a calculated cost for this pay app that we just talked about. Police department, we already did. Fire department, we already did. And we'll cut them by what? The firefighters did, animal control, we talked about that. I was a little disappointed in that response back from our email. I don't know if everybody else saw that, but
Yeah.
really upset, like that was, I thought, I don't, Andy even saw, we talked after the meeting.
Yeah,
Miss Lane, Andy and I talked about, I think it was a great idea to get with their board, come up with an idea to try to draw attention to what they're doing, because I don't know, we can go back to our constituents and say that there's some $100,000.
Not now, in today's world, no.
$120,000 increase, how can I do that without drawing attention to it first?
And,
And so-
maybe next year, Tom and I were
And then,
talking.
then her response back, if it's based on the email, was really like, basically, don't talk to my board, talk to this fundraising.
Well, no, don't even talk to the fundraising guy. We don't need you.
Right,
We don't need you.
right, well, there's no, and she sent the email to that fundraising.
They don't need us?
No,
They said
they don't need us.
to go to the meeting,
fundraise,
right, they don't need us fundraising, just
They don't
email
need us,
them,
I'll say it, what's
right,
the week
right.
83,000?
email us email our guy your idea, like, they wouldn't even
Right.
hear it.
Right. We were gonna go to the board meeting and
Just
But
try
it's
to,
not up, it should be up to us
how
to
to
run their fundraising committee to help them get revenue.
right, but
It
we were
should
just,
be up to us,
right,
because their whole
we
budget item.
had some ideas to talk to them about, try to do a public education.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed with
So
that.
was I.
I was really so now, so basically I'm gonna look for other options. I'm gonna try to, because we have to look at other options, what we can do. Not that I don't support them or do that, but we can't have that kind of relationship.
Right.
Try and help them do it, try and help them understand their management. They can't come to us and want a 250% increase and not ask us to ask questions. And that's not unreasonable.
Right. Yeah, it's too bad Country Acres couldn't handle more.
They can, so that's an option.
Yeah,
Good.
Lindsay, I talked to Lindsay.
I love them.
I love them all. I really do, but, and the other part that bothered me, just for full disclosure, I was a little bit upset when I heard the kill, become a kill show.
Yeah.
That was just, as a dog owner and, you know what I mean, and animal lover, period.
Right.
I hate to see that.
I don't want to see that.
No,
So that's animal control, building, housing inspection, DPW administration, went through all that. DPW maintenance, DPW garage, snow and ice control, we did that, recreation, we did that, parks, done. Playground and rec center, all done. Beach and pool, we did, youth programs, trips and events, youth center activities, celebrations, storm and sewer. Traffic collection, DPW street cleaning, state retirement, police, we didn't do state retirement, right? So it's state retirement, again, police and fire retirement.
Well, it is what it is, too.
Yeah, and that's what we're given, those are the forecasted numbers that he's given us, so. Local pensions fund, Social security, workers' comp, that went up, because I have that bill. Disability insurance, hospital medical insurance. Which I want to talk about insurance a little bit, we'll talk about actually at the meeting, but wait till then. Supplemental benefits. And bonds. So we got the tax anticipation notes. And water. Allocated insurance, water administration with those. Pump and plumbing, transmission distribution, did all that. And then their state retirements separate, so security is all the water budget. Hospital. Zero bonds for them. Transfer to other funds, we're switching that money over to there, sewer. Insurance, contingencies, there are none. Then wastewater, we did all those, including the state retirement, workers' comp, we did all that. And that brings us to, that's it, transfer funds is down, the rest is page 16. So I think, some of those, some of the departments like common council, mayor, finance department, so I think just to cover the rest of those, Andy, and maybe we didn't do that one DPW one independently. Then I would take to move this as a whole.
Agreed.
To move it to anybody else, unless somebody else wants to address something else.
I do. Andy and I spoke briefly about raising dog license fees.
As an increase,
Yes, did you bring that to the mayor's attention?
what page are you on?
Two,
Something.
No, I,
So, here's. Like raising our fee structure.
yeah, we're way below other municipalities.
yeah, no,
Can you tell me-
Tom raised that, I have information about, what other municipalities charge, we are below, for the most part, what other municipalities charge. But, to be honest, I didn't put it in the context of, that we were trying to move forward on that, within the budget here. I
Yeah,
thought it was kind of.
We can make that anytime.
yeah,
down
right,
there.
and if it's a revenue increase, that's okay.
Well,
You know what I mean?
right.
Unless you had a specific payment, you wanted to use that, if you thought we're gonna get another $1,500 or and you want to allocate it to somewhere else, well, but if not,
Well,
we'll do it later.
Well, that too, SNAP receives no city funding whatsoever. And they do handle a lot of stray animals.
So,
can't go back there, okay?
so maybe,
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, so if it's okay with you, so that on that funding end, we'll make that resolution pretty quick. We can do that before the end of the year. I say it's effective by January. We can do some more research on that. Get that on the budget, get on one of our meetings between now and December,
yeah.
and then make that happen next year. And then then those revenues will, but as far as the animal stuff, we have a budgeted line in there.
Right.
I can talk to I try to reevaluate what we have, including. Working with
We can help with allocate like any increases, we can allocate towards.
Yeah. Well, how much?
I would
how
have
much
current-
is the dog
So
license?
current dog license in the city of Cortland, if your dog is spayed or neutered, is $7.50. By way of comparison, Cortland is 11, Homer is 10, Brown is 11, Ithaca is 15.
You're saying
If your dog is not spayed or neutered, we charged $18. Portonville 22, Homer 18, Grand 23, Ithaca 25.
Let's just match code and go.
So is it,
Maybe we should do it, the ones that are not spayed and neutered, the difference of that sum would be smart to give to SNAP, to encourage them to go.
right, right.
And that, right, because that, wouldn't that be don't you think that'd be a cut? You know what I'm saying? So like, I missed the numbers, but just make it up.
But
Let's
we
say
could
we
even
charge
go up to
$20.
10 for the license,
Right, we said $20 for spade and neuter and 10 for the license, regular license.
right?
The difference of $10, every time we get that $10,
Goes to
we go
SNAP.
to SNAP. Something like that. you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
I
that,
like that.
that would encourage them to do that, say, you know, your license would be 10 if you just go see.
Yeah,
see
I
them.
mean, because, the feral cat that we have, who's becoming less and less feral as the days go on. Yeah, I took him down there and the long story, but they didn't have to neuter him. And they gave him this temper shot, rabies shot, dewormed him, did the flea and the tick. And there was something cleaned his ear.
No, we can definitely do something for it in the year, but. Yeah. right
Yeah.
now, I'm the-
All right, so we'll wait till it gets back.
Good idea, Tom.
Yeah, I think, did you have something else?
No, there we go.
That was it.
Now it's going to be recording again. Are you?
And all that interference tonight was the ceiling fan, by the way. The ceiling fan is what does it. What was it?
That was good one.
When you're trying, people are trying to watch their home with the stat, it's a ceiling. fan.
Oh,
So they like, the ceiling fan to stop.
Oh, really? Probably they're on the rheostat. Rheostat. Not, because he's back. Because it's all 1970s vintage.
Gee, I expected like 8, 9.
You got 8 or 9 with us.
Well, I know, I know.
So. Can I take, does anybody else have anything else they want to discuss? So can I accept a motion to accept the amendments as made today?
So moved.
Mr. Beckwith, Ms. Lane, anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're right at the number of floors, but we'll do it again on the floor to adopt. But this is just so for this.
Keep it moving.
But everything is fully clear and everybody understands what they have and everyone understands, so that this is all of our money and this is everything we got, this is where we're going. So hopefully it all works out. And then again, based on what we're gonna get audited by, we have to pull back from reserve. Now, the next thing,
Let's do a motion to accept those changes. And then a motion to
except for
accept the balance of it as is.
what we did, we said as a
Yeah,
whole.
we did.
Okay.
Or this document right here. Okay.
Yeah,
We don't need this one anymore.
with the attached.
Yes, that's just the worksheet. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, yeah.
And we meant that with the attached, correct?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's in your documents from the last meeting, it's
Right.
recorded as part of that. Now, this is the altered one, so then we'll bring this forward.
Got it.
We'll clean it up so it'll have mayor's line. And then just council line, you know what I mean? So then it'll be presented at the same, but you can keep these for your reference to make sure there's no changes.
Okay.
And then, but that way everybody's clear on where we're at. Check. Oh, and then the other thing I'm gonna, so just be prepared for that, I'll have a resolution authorizing us to go over our tax cap. Because in the event, and it'll say in the resolution, in the event we do go over our tax cap, because let's say we get audited and we're 2 million behind, right? Not saying that's gonna happen. But but if something like that happens, then if we go over a tax cap, whatever we go over a tax cap by, if we don't have that public hearing and do that resolution first, we have to hold that in reserves. That amount, so then we're basically, we have to always have that, which is like backwards, you know, it's kind of like people that don't pay their utility bill, and then they say, you gotta give us a $10,000 deposit, and then hold on, you know what I mean?
You never get it back until you-
I couldn't pay my bill, like,
Right.
then you'll never see it again.
$10,000, I pay my.
Right, so that, I don't wanna get into that situation, so that will be in there, and of course, it'll probably be misconstrued at some point that we're trying to go over. That's not the intent, but it's just to be safe. The county does the same thing. All right, any questions on that? No, that's all I have.
When will we be addressing water rates?
Well, we did not adjust the water rates. We talked about it briefly, the last one, but I think we need to address it during the year. So like probably halfway in the year, we'll bring it up as conversation, we'll get on our feet, and we'll say, look, let's talk about water rates for next year.
Agreed.
But we gotta keep that balance, it hasn't been adjusted, we really should try to hit some kind of target.
Yeah.
What's the minimum? There's a minimum, right, that everybody has to pay.
Yep.
Monthly,
Yeah,
Just under 80,
yeah,
just under 80.
Yeah.
Okay.
used to be 23.
I was gonna say, try number 25.
Really?
I thought I saw.
You've been around a little bit longer than I.
I thought I saw a number of 44. $44 as a minimum fee.
The minimum water and sewer bill is
Eight.
Oh, combined,
Under
yes.
80 bucks,
Yeah,
Yeah.
79 or some crazy. like
yeah.
that.
Yep.
I don't know.
So when they have anything, any questions? She just joined in.
Ooh,
Wendy.
but so that's what we have, if anybody else has anything else, so we won't need to have a meeting tomorrow night.
Good.
Cause we're good, right?
Right.
Yeah. Good, unless somebody else has anything, so we'll bring it on the floor, and we'll start.
You highlighted a few changes, so that makes,
Yeah, it's all red, so.
everything else is the same as it was 3 weeks ago, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
The only thing that, the change that might be easier to just do color.
Oh,
Yep.
definitely.
But then next meeting, I'll have these copies that other people have, but the next document you'll see will not be this, it'll be the same thing with the column.
just-
moved. So I have to go back to my original column and then move it over to council's.
Mhm.
Perfect. So that's, all the red changes will be your changes technically. That's it. Well, thank you, everybody, for sticking this out, and I think,
Thank you.
hopefully it's
Absolutely.
understood better. Now, the only thing else, I had department head meeting today, and I told them we're gonna go back and we're gonna, even though I'm not, but make some of this stuff more clear, as you heard from the department heads. Saying it's fuel would be so much easier for all of us to say it's fuel.
Yeah.
You know, like describing what it is and consistently doing it.
Right.
And then the other thing you might see changes is, like you see in the water and sewer, they do the health and all their insurance and benefits are all within each one of those departments. I want to do the same in each department.
I think it would be nice to clean those up for the public. I mean, one of the things a lot of us said is we want to make it more transparent, and I think that'll help a lot.
But I didn't want to do it all in the same, because
It'd take forever.
well, because it won't, the comparisons won't be.
It is,
Right.
you know.
But if we can
equipment,
update it,
equipment,
So we're ready for next year, that would be.
just
Very
think,
nice.
What is it? It's,
Like Pat says, equipment over 5,000, equipment under 5,000. Like, oh, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, how about just equipment?
right,
Well, I spell out what the equipment.
And then like,
Yeah, that'd be helpful too.
sometimes
That's
it's
true.
continuous, because sometimes it's continuous, but like there was no line for lease car payments, so they were taken out of others. And it's all
Yeah.
hidden there, you can see it.
Right, I don't like that.
In the code office budget, every year we've had equipment over 5,000, we've had $1,800 in the budget for it every year. I was wondering how we're gonna
Makes
use
sense.
that.
Right,
You were.
That's, that's pretty smart.
right.
Yeah, equipment over 5,000.
5,000,
We'll give you 4,900.
Right,
I just figured every 3 years, I could buy something.
There you go.
but that's the stuff, so get rid of that stuff. Over
Good
makes it
deal.
clear, so, all right, thanks again, everybody, appreciate it.
okay,
Absolutely.
all right.
So
take-
motion to
take-
move, we close, we.
We're done.
We just closed.
We didn't open it again.
Okay, great. All
There you go.
Well, we did it at 7 or 6 o'clock.
right, thanks.
I'm not taking any of these cookie calls,
Need to know.
so somebody is.
Macadamians next time.
Yep. Oh.